Yeah, good evening. So, welcome to this webinar. This is about geography optional. Myself, MD Rizwan, with me, Mr. Shivarpit and Ms. Vaishali. We are the team of faculties who will be dealing with the optional subject at Vajiram and Ravi. As the webinar progresses, we will be giving you the detail about how the subject is divided and what will be the format in which the syllabus will be covered. So, to begin with, we'll have a general discussion about why optional is important and what is the basic strategy for preparing geography as a optional subject. This webinar will help you to decide about optional in general and also decide geography as an optional subject. So some of you already might have taken decision about the optional. Some may be in the process of taking decision. So this will benefit you or this will help you to decide about whether geography is suitable for you or not, right? Now, so to begin with, see, first, why optional subject is important. So as it is, see, optional decides your final score. It plays a vital role in selection. It helps you in consistency of your preparation, in the sense that, see, everyone aspires to clear the exam in one attempt, but most of the cases we find that the students, they have to give 2 or 3 attempts also. If you are selecting a proper optional subject, this subject will help you to retain a preparation for a longer time, because when you are in the cycle of preparation, you are giving prelims, then mains, then interview. Optional comes as a link between one phase to other. So that is what is consistency in preparation and sustaining preparation over a period, right? And third is depth of understanding of the subject, in the sense how you prepare for the optional, the way you are strategizing your optional. This will also help you to prepare for other components of your exam, like GS. Suppose you are preparing, you adopt one methodology to prepare for the optional subject, same methodology you will be able to adopt for the general studies also, right? So it is like you develop a method of preparing the subject, and the same method you are going to apply for preparing general studies. This is the benefit. So for that reason, optional and selection of the optional becomes important. Now, second question which is generally raised by most of the students, how to select the optional subject, right? This is rather very much crucial. On what basis you should select the optional subject? See, there are 3 things. One is compatibility, whether you are compatible with the subject, or other way we can say whether the subject is compatible with you, right? You should look at whether you are interested in the subject or not. Suppose you take a subject where you are not interested, maybe 1 chapter, 2 chapters, initially you will be able to study well, but after 3 4 chapters or certain part of the syllabus, then you find it's like a boredom for you, it's boring, then this will kill your creativity. So the most important thing about selection of the optional, you should look at whether you are compatible with the optional, or optional is compatible, the subject is compatible with you. So for that reason, you should take a time, you should decide the optional in a with certain time, with certain you can say information base, with certain data. You should go through the syllabus of the optional, you should look at the GS subjects also, because you have history, geography, polity, economy, these are there in GS, these are also the optional subjects. So a student may find certain subject more interesting. So compatibility means whether you are able to develop the interest in the subject. Second important thing is connect. Are you able to connect with the subject? When you are reading, is there any kind of curiosity you are developing in that particular part? Suppose you are reading, let us say you have taken a subject and you are reading chapter number 1. You feel that I should explore more and read chapter 2 also. You feel that I should explore more in the online content. So this will be connectivity with the subject. And third is consistency. Consistency in the sense that if I am reading geography today or any optional, I should also feel like I should read it tomorrow. I should feel that I should read every day, right? This type of urge, this type of craving should be there. That is known as consistency. So it should not be forceful. When you are studying optional, optional should not be a forceful reading. It should come from inside that I should read the subject. So these three things are very important. Then you can go with the trends, then you can go with marks and other things. See, if the subject is not compatible with you, you are not going to be creative in the subject. You will not be interested in reading the subject. You will not be able to explore the subject. If you are not able to do, obviously you will not be able to complete the syllabus. Once you are not completing the syllabus, there is no question of revision, there is no question of creativity in answers. See, what you learn in the optional, you have to represent in on paper, right? And it is not that what you read in the book as it is you can represent on paper, because there are hundreds of students who will be writing uh, by reading from the same book. If every student represent in the same format, you are not going to get the marks. You should develop a creativity in the optional subject, and this will happen only when you are compatible or subject is compatible with you, right? So please look into these three criterias before selecting any optional subject. Now, next is, let us see what in what way geography can be useful for you. So for whom geography is useful? See, number one benefit of geography, and this is benefit for almost all the subjects also, that is there is a overlap with GS. But I am not saying that this should be a criteria for selecting geography as a optional, but in general we'll say that whatever you are going to study in GS, this constitute nearly 40%, 35 to 40% of your optional syllabus. Particularly like physical geography, you have topics climatology, geomorphology, oceanography, or bioenvironmental geography. These are as it is a part of your general studies. Second, Indian geography also. Most of the part of Indian geography has a overlap with your GS. Second thing is geography is conceptual. Conceptual in the sense, don't think that geography is thoroughly based on data. Here, there are concepts. So once you build the concept, you will be able to retain it, right? Third, it is logical. Logical in the sense scientific. Those students who are having a logical bend of mind, cause effect relationship, for them this subject is very easy. Rather, it can be completed in a smoother manner, right? Then applied in the sense, when you are reading nowadays, the importance of geography has grown. It is immense, because the reason is, when you study your current affairs or newspapers, you talk about climate change or any such topics, when you are coming across what we are facing, the problems, day to day problems, what human societies are facing, maybe at the global level or at the regional level or at the local level, this can be related with geography, right? So applied, and last is contextual. Contextual means whatever you study in geography, this can be definitely connected with day to day happening. It can be connected with your current affairs, right? So these are the benefits, or you can take these factors also into consideration when you decide about the subject. And the most important thing is, it is semi scientific. Unlike any other subject which is thoroughly humanities, geography is semi scientific in the sense it is technical subject. Like you are studying physics, like you study chemistry, there you study biology, or there are laws, principles, techniques, methods, models, mathematical models. Same thing can be applied, or same thing are there in case of geography also. Like you are studying law of gravity in physics, the same law of gravity can be applied in geography to study the pattern of migration. Simple example, what law of physics says? The force of gravity is directly proportional to mass. If you look at migration or pattern of migration, people migrate towards those cities which are larger in size. It means that the cities with greater mass exert a greater gravitational pull, right? I'm just giving one simple example. Here we are applying a law of physics to study the geographical phenomenon or human geographical phenomenon, right? So next one. Yes. Now, how to prepare for geography as an optional? So here we follow 3S strategy. Number one is syllabus, right? You should have a sound understanding of all the 20 chapters. Anyone who is starting geography, or you are preparing with the help of coaching or without the help of coaching, first go through all the chapters, that is 10 chapters of paper 1 and 10 chapters of paper 2. Number 2 is define a strategy for this. I'll go through what is the meaning of strategy, and have a systematic approach, in the sense that you cannot prepare the subject in a random manner, right? It is not like you can select any chapter and complete the chapter. You have to have a systematic approach in completing the syllabus. For example, you study geomorphology in paper 1, you should be able to connect it with paper 2, Indian physical geography. If you are studying climatology in paper 1, you should be able to connect with Indian climate. That is known as a systematic approach, right? So these are 3S to begin. Now, what is here? So I'll go through this point separately. First one is about what to do with the syllabus. First thing about the syllabus is you should prioritize the syllabus. See, there are 20 chapters, 10 chapters in paper 1 and 10 chapters in paper 2. So first thing is review of the syllabus, go through all the chapters. Second, identify the most important topics and most important chapters. You see, you cannot give equal importance to all the chapters, okay? Because if you see the pattern of questions that are asked, you'll find that the UPSC is focusing more on certain chapters. Take example, they have focused more on like climatology sometimes. In climatology also, you'll find some topics are very important. They are focusing on environmental geography, or you talk about population and settlement geography, models and theories. So identify the weightage of the topic, resources and standard books. Whether now, if you are attending the classes, you will get the printed material, and class notes will be there, and we will also recommend certain books for paper 1 and paper 2. But again, we are not recommending here that you should follow one textbook for one particular chapter. If you do like that, there will be 20 books. It is very difficult to complete the syllabus. You have to restrict the standard references, previous year question paper, and last one is very important, you have to arrange the topics in a logical manner, means in a connected way. So for example, if you are doing climatology, you do temperature, then you do pressure, then you do wind system, then you do planetary wind or atmospheric circulation, after that atmospheric disturbance. So you should be able to connect from one topic to other. Unless you find you are not able to make a structure of the syllabus, you are not able to create a structure of the chapter, you will not be able to complete it. Again, my focus is you should reduce randomness in your preparation. It is not like you just pick up any topic and do it. No, you cannot do this in geography. At least in geography, you should not do it. If you are doing or preparing geography in this manner, you will not be able to complete the syllabus. Even if you complete the syllabus, you will not be able to retain it. Now, the next. So how to complete the syllabus of optional? So we'll look at some stages here. First is basics. Basics, complete it from your NCRT class 11th and 12th, plus one more reference book for basics or fundamentals is your GC Leong, Certificate in Physical and Human Geography by GC Leong. Then concept based topics. Look at concept based topics. Suppose you are doing oceanography. Identify the topics that are conceptual and identify the topics that are factual, right? So first complete the concept based topic, identify the interlinkages of the topic. For example, if you study say perspective, so how you can link perspective with economic geography, how you can link perspective with models and theories. If you are studying geomorphology, how geomorphology can be linked with your climatology. So this is interlinkages. So interlinkages within the paper and between the paper, from paper 1 to paper 2, how you can link. So this part is very much essential. Last fourth one is language of the subject. What is meaning of language of the subject? It is about appropriateness. So every subject has a language, right? Suppose you are writing for history, you should follow the language of history. If you write the answers for polity, you should follow the language of polity. Similarly, geography also has its language. Language means usage of terminologies, right? So if someone reads your answer, he should identify that this student is the student of geography optional, not the student of geography general studies, right? Language of geography consists of terminologies, it consists of maps, diagrams, and these you should be developing over a period of time. Okay? And last is data and facts. So this will be obviously important. Data and facts are more important for paper 2, that is Indian geography. Here comes the role of your newspaper reading and current affairs. For example, you are doing agriculture in paper 2, Indian agriculture. You should have a data about what is the recent statistics of crops, recent statistics related to storages, or any schemes that are operational by central government or the state government, right? So these are basic things about how to prepare. Now next is what should be the strategy. I'm just giving you a basic framework here. Strategy consists of 3 R's, right? First one, obviously, after this is once you have completed your coaching, you have completed your syllabus. First R is about revision, second is retention, and third is representation. All the 3 are equally important, right? And they are related also. First, complete syllabus, second, revise. After revision, you should retain also. Retain in the sense you should be having those things in mind, and that you should be able to retrieve fast. When you are writing answer, you should get the information with a lightning speed. That is meaning of retention and appropriate representation. For that reason, the previous slide, what we have discussed, language of the subject is important. 3, revision, retention, and representation. So in that way, you should be able to have a structure of the topic for this. So if you want to do this, you have to make the synoptic notes of the topics. So after completion, we will be telling you how to make these notes when we go through the topics in the class. But synoptic notes are essential. You cannot rely on entire, see, after completing your syllabus, you will have nearly 3 to 4 spiral bindings of class notes. It will be very difficult for you to revise all the 4 simultaneously or very frequently. For that, we generally suggest you to make the synoptic notes. Okay? So these 3 are important. And another 3 things that you should be looking at is 3 C's, what I say. First one is conceptual clarity, right? This is very important part. Whatever topics are there, you should be clear in the concept, right? Now, here conceptual clarity doesn't mean that you should run after the facts and information. Whatever core concept of the topic is there, that you should be clear with, right? Then comes collection of information. Don't run after information. Don't camouflage the topic. Don't unnecessarily, what we say, make the topic flowery or representation with the help of your language. See, language as an English language is not very much important in geography. Here, what you write should be related to the subject, right? You cannot unnecessarily stretch the concept by using some flowery language. The examiner looks for what concrete idea you are having about that particular topic. So for that, number one is important. Second is correlation, right? This can be with the help of examples, case studies that you have to develop. And third is comprehend the topics. Comprehend means you have to make the subject concise, right? See, there are myths about geography. One most common myth about geography is it is a lengthy subject. Now, when it will become lengthy, this thoroughly depends on the student, and it also obviously depends on the teachers. If you try to approach the subject through superficial data, you run after the facts, you are running after information, then the volume of the subject will become unmanageable, right? Here you should not expand the subject, rather you have to comprehend the subject. More you comprehend, more it will be easy to complete the syllabus on time. It will be easy to revise. You will be able to retain the thing. More you increase the volume of the subject, it will go beyond the scope. It will be very difficult to revise the subject. It will be very difficult to retain the information. Therefore, comprehension of the topic is also equally essential, right? So these are general things about how to prepare geography as an optional. Madam will discuss about how we will approach as a classes, how we will approach and other things, right? So after this, we'll take up, if you are having doubts, after we complete, we will be taking up doubts. Yes.
So sir has given you a broad overview of what the subject geography optional subject is all about, right? I'm sure you have gone through the syllabus. You guys have a fair amount of interest in the subject, and that's why you guys over here are present, and online we have the participation as well. Come in, almost. So now the next is that the optional course offered by us will be broadly on the lines as discussed. Our aim over here, our objective over here is to facilitate you in your preparation. That happens when you have a good conceptual understanding. At the same time, you're able to link those concepts with what's happening around. Because sir talked about something called as interlinkages, wherein you'll have to keep on linking what you're studying. Let's say talk about paper 2 or certain topics of paper 1 as well. Population and settlement geography, environment geography, a lot of topics in paper 2, which have lot of relevance of what's happening in the present times. So one is that you have your foundation in place, which of course is the first part of your optional course, wherein you learn the concepts. For that, most of the concepts will be taken care of, as in all of the conceptual understanding will be taken care of through the classes. But at the same time, now it depends upon your effort as well. We'll tell you you'll have to go through certain books. Like sir said, that it's not going to be that for each chapter you'll have one book each, but you become selective. Let's say we refer certain, we tell you that this is the book to be referred to. So it is not the entire book which is to be read through. What are the topics which are to be referred to from the book? Again, that will be discussed as a part of your classes. Which topics, which page numbers, related to certain concepts or certain other, let's say, I am talking about something related to environmental geography, but then there is certain scholar who has given some theory as a part of models and theories which is relevant in environment geography. So now telling you that yes, we can have interlinkages in various units of the syllabus as well. That's one kind of interlinkage. And the other kind of interlinkage, of course, is that what you read is a part of your newspapers, what you read is a part of current affairs, how that's relevant, how that's applicable for our syllabus. Because looking at the nature of questions asked by the examiner, the questions asked by the examiner often call for your ingenuity in able to establish those interlinkages and your ability to present those interlinkages in a cogent manner. So that's where the classes come in handy. That's where the classes are going to facilitate you so that you become empowered enough to be able to address those kind of questions, right? Because when you go through these classes, see, every subject, every optional subject for that matter, calls for certain conditioning of your intellectual capacities. Your intellectual capacities must be conditioned based upon demand of that subject, which if I put very simply, if you're reading through the newspaper and there is an article related to India's international relations with the neighbors, which finds relevance as a part of political geography of India, of our geography optional syllabus. How you become conditioned over a period of time is that the moment you read these kind of articles, you're able to correlate it with that in my syllabus, this article finds relevance in so and so unit. As simple as that, right? So going through an entire course, somebody online asked me how many lectures. Not giving you the exact number of lectures, but of course the duration of the syllabus, entire syllabus coverage which we take up will be around 4.5 months. So that's going to be the duration of the syllabus of the entire course. Our aim, as I said, developing your conceptual understanding, facilitating you to be able to establish those interlinkages. And at the same time, we will offer a few tests to you as well, because sir said retention is important, representation is important. So how do you practice that? So very initial way how you practice that is through tests. So sectional tests. Of course, full length tests don't matter at this point in time when you're going through the first run of your optional coverage. So sectional tests, right? So when we start with our optional in the month of June, and then 4.5 months, and then by the time we complete our optional, our classes, you guys are very well placed, because then you have enough sufficient time to be solely devoting towards your GS preparation, right? So that's what's going to be our objective for the optional in the next 4.5 months that you're going to be with us. And now, if you have any doubts, any queries, online as well, if you have any doubts, any queries, we welcome that. You can please tell us that. Someone online says that, is it true that optional geography takes longer than other optionals to complete? Like sir was saying, and sir put it very aptly, that this is a myth, that this is a long optional subject. For that matter, every subject of this entire examination calls for a certain degree of rigor, isn't it? Even the GS calls for a certain degree of rigor. And so does geography optional, calls for a certain degree of rigor, hard work, sincerity. Longer, यार longer तो अब 3 घंटा पढ़ रहे थे लेकिन उसमें से आधा घंटा ही दिमाग चल रहा था, तो फिर longer ही लगेगा, right? So बेटा longer कुछ नहीं होता है. It's just that there are certain topics in a substantial portion of the syllabus which is going to help you in your GS as well. Take it like that. Much of the syllabus of paper 2, many of the chapters, units of paper 1 are relevant for GS2, right? So that will cut your time in GS. That will somehow help you in GS. So again, we repeat over here, this is a misconception amongst the students. It's a lengthy optional. We rather put it as, this is an optional which, like, any other subject under this competitive examination calls for a certain degree of rigor, sincerity. You'll have to be, you cannot go with this optional half-heartedly, and you cannot go with any optional half-heartedly. So you'll have to be very much sincere about it. It may take a little, so initially, देखो, when initially you're going through concepts, it may take a little more time, right? And that's also highly individual. But then once you have the conceptual clarity, then the things fall into place. So don't worry about that it will take more time, right? Over here also, if you have doubts, you can please ask us your doubts. Online, we are going through the doubts. We'll address the doubts which...
How should we change our approach in reading the same textbook or same material while preparing for GS and option? Like we studied 11th NCRT for GS and GC of GS as well, and now we have to study that for optional for our basics. So what should be our approach while reading that for optional?
You see, if you are reading the book, while reading, the approach would not be different. Okay, but when you are writing the answers or writing anything that is part of the optional, the approach would be very different. For example, suppose online students. So he's saying that if you're reading GC Leong or any other book for that matter, that they are reading for the GS as well. So how should we be different in our approach? See, I was giving you an example where I was saying, suppose there's a question, discuss about the groundwater resources in the country. Okay, this can be asked in general studies, this can be asked in the optional subject as well. But suppose I'm writing the answer in the general studies, I may divide India into certain physiographic divisions, let's say Northern Plains, Indian Himalayan region, or let's say Peninsula Plateau, Island region, or then on that basis, I may discuss that this is the area where we have groundwater and this is the area where we may not have groundwater and what are the different reasons. But if this same question is there in the optional subject, then this answer will not do. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to divide the country into different provinces that are given by either R.L. Singh, or I'm going to divide the country on the basis of its geological division. And on the basis of geological division, then let's say I may have I may write that the groundwater provinces of India on a general note can be classified into consolidated rocks, semi-consolidated rocks, and unconsolidated rocks. Then on that basis, the consolidated rocks will include these many rocks, the semi-consolidated ones, these many, and the unconsolidated, these many. And on that basis, I'm going to write the answer. When I'm writing the answer, then the words would be very different. As I said, that there is a certain language that you need to use. So I'm going to use a geographical language. So concept is the same. See, the concept that I'm reading in GC Leong or NCRT, this concept cannot change. Just that you may have to write the answer in a different manner. This is just the difference that you are going to find. While reading, you won't find any difference. Okay? Have I answered the question? No. See, saying that paper 2, it depends only on data. Now, I would not like to name, but we have a student who was our student as well. You can ask him after that. We first develop the concept. See, suppose I'm talking about monsoon. There are questions which talk about data related to monsoons, especially when you look at the previous year's question. Most of these questions have been related to the occurrences that we have had in the previous year, like related to cloudburst phenomena. So you need to write some data as well. But unless you know the concept, you won't be able to answer the question. They say, the question was, discuss the phenomena of cloudburst in India with recent examples. So unless you know the concept, you won't be able to write the answer. Then yes, definitely for the recent examples, you need to know the examples. Otherwise, you won't be able to write the second part of the question. But it's not that it's totally based on data. But yes, it compared to the paper 1, it will be more current affairs loaded, and it will be more related to the current affairs than the paper 1. But it is a myth that it is totally fact data loaded. Okay.
the topics in contemporary reading in current affairs. For a species, we have to study the general name and IUCN status, and that's all, and the tiger reserve and that. So, should we go in detail for that topics in optional, or we have to do the general reading in current affairs?
The syllabus of environment geography which you have under optional is more based upon the concepts of environmental geography. You have 2 units talking about environment geography and biogeography, which have a certain degree of overlap. Biogeography is essentially concept based. That is how life evolved over the planet. It has got nothing to do with the contemporary developments of the present times. It is environment geography where current affairs find their relevance. But the current affairs relevance under environment geography unit of geography optional is completely different from the current affairs relevance of your GS syllabus. For GS, you need to have this in-depth understanding or knowing about the factual information, IUCN status of a species, etc., beta. That is important. For geography optional, you need not worry about it. You need to have some knowledge about facts, because while giving your answers, you need to give in facts, data as well. Facts, as in climate change is happening. The question can be related to the current incidence of climate change and how different regions are affected. That is the regional impact of climate change on different parts of the planet. Now you need to know how Himalayan region is affected, for example, or how the temperate latitudes are affected, how the polar areas are affected. So then you must have certain statistics and data to substantiate how much of sea ice is shrinking, at what rate are the glaciers shrinking, at what rate are the coastal areas facing submergence because of rising sea level. Now, this is contemporary. This you get from your latest reports, this you get from the newspaper articles, but the kind of current affairs coverage you need to have for your geography optional is completely different from the kind of current affairs you are needed to know for your GS part. The two are very different from each other, very, very different from each other. Right? And you will get to know that as a part of classes, you will understand the difference.
Adding to this, is doubt, or for online students also, the doubt is that when you are preparing for general studies geography and then preparing for optional, look at the syllabus of optional and look at the topics that are there in GS. You'll find that whatever you are studying in GS, they are basics of optional. Take example of geomorphology. In geomorphology, you have topics like interior of Earth, earthquake, volcanism, plate tectonic. Now, if you see, this will constitute nearly 50% of geomorphology syllabus in optional, whatever you study in GS, right? लेकिन इसका वेटेज देखिए आप, एग्जाम में इसमें से कितने मार्क का क्वेश्चन आएगा? Not more than 10 or 15 marks. ठीक है? So after that, you are having topics like denudation chronology, erosion surfaces, or you talk about Davis, Penck, the cycles of erosion, all these. And here the weightage of this topic will be nearly 25 marks. If there are 40 marks question asked from geomorphology, 25 will be from this, and maybe 10 to 15 marks you'll have from the basic topic. Most of the time what happens, students, they believe or they have this concept that reading up to plate tectonics, whatever you are doing in general studies, that will be sufficient for optional subject. If you are treating your GS as the optional, you are going wrong. Definitely whatever you are studying in GS, they are there in the optional subject, but that will not be the entire optional syllabus. Keep this in mind.
Anu Bora, he says strategy for paper 2. We forgot to tell you that sir would be taking a good part of paper 1. Madam would be taking some part of population and settlement of paper 1 and the whole of environmental geography, and most parts of paper 2 I would be taking up. Okay. So as far as strategy is concerned, we'll focus in the class we talk about, we'll focus first on developing the concepts. Then we will We will try to answer the previous year's questions. Then normally the students write the answers, we get them corrected, and then with the feedback, the answer is given to the students. And if the answer is not written correctly, we are encouraging the students to rewrite it. Okay. When it comes to strategy, other than this, the focus will be on the topics that are asked by the examiner more often. See, there are questions which have been repeated a number of times. Like, for example, if any of you is aware about the syllabus of the geography optional paper 2, there's a climatic classification. Okay? If you look at the questions in the past 10-15 years, you'll find 3 to 4 times there have been questions related to climatic classification of India with respect to stamps classification. So every 5-6 years, there's a repeat question. So we'll focus more on those topics which have been repeatedly asked, because questions very often are repeated by the examiner. Okay? Focus will be on the topics which have been there in the current affairs on a greater scale. So the chances of those topics being asked are more. Okay. So this would be the strategy, and in the class we will discuss the maps as well. So you'll be plotting within the class itself, and then it is up to you whether you want to revise or not. But it's strictly advised that you revise it at home as well. And the question Ankur says, I started preparation, joined GS batch 1 month back. Should I wait for a few more months before I start my optional? And I'm presently struggling to manage my GS syllabus. See, right now is the better time to start with the optional subject, because if you start the optional subject in the month of June, we'll be covering it by the end of October, November. And from November, your test series will start. So if you join this topic subject in, let's say, the months of November, then in that case, you will have to struggle with general studies, which will continue up till the months of February or March. Then you will have the optional subject. Then you will have the test series. And many a times, in order to complete the syllabus fast, we also go for the extra classes. So that time it would be unmanageable or difficult to manage, if I can say more aptly. So this is the better time to start with the optional subject. अच्छा, Ranveer Singhania says, एक बार नीचे करिए. Can we score 300 plus score without having any background? See, this is a question which nobody can answer, Ranveer. You do not know what would be the score in the geography optional next year. If the average score is, let's say, 250, then you can score 300 plus. But if the average score is 200, bit difficult for you then in that case. Okay. Capture on, no issues. Akshita Yadav. I would be taking approximately 50 lectures. Same with Rizwan sir. Any other question if you have? In any case, you would be preparing for the current affairs. Okay. And when you say it is evolving topic, yes, definitely it is very dynamic in nature. Especially, I told you, paper 2 is more dynamic than paper 1. Okay. So you will have to prepare the current affairs. Without current affairs, you won't be able to answer. Okay. But it's not that. The paper is only about current affairs, concepts plus current affairs. Both things you will have to keep in mind. Okay.
So the doubt is about NCRTs. So if you are beginning, as I assume that most of you have studied geography up to your 10th class, maximum is 12th. There are very few students who will be having geography in their graduation. So 10th के बाद आपने geography नहीं किया है. So now if you are beginning, so you should begin with your fundamentals, basics, and that will be from 10th class. Don't begin with 6th class. It will take long time to complete from 6th to 12th. So read 10th class, first read 11th and 12th. And if you are still feeling that there is some gaps in understanding of 11th class, you can go one class back, that is 10th class. So 10th, 11th and 12th NCRT will be sufficient in covering the basics. This will help you to adapt easily to the optional understanding, right? Jesse, now we will be starting a batch on 15th of June. So you have time of around 20 days. So you can just go through 11th class NCRT Fundamentals of Physical Geography and Indian Physical Environment. These two NCRTs you complete and do one NCRT of 10th class. This will be sufficient. Those who are taking general studies classes, for them whatever classes it is going on, that you can follow, that will make you comfortable for the optional subject. NCRTs are important, but I will not recommend to start from 6th class NCRT. 6th to 12th, it is very difficult to complete in this short time. Only 11th and 12th class, that to two books, Fundamentals of Physical Geography and Indian Physical Environment, this you complete. Any other doubts? Bioenvironmental Geography. Madam will take that.
The approach for environment and biogeography is what has been asked online. So, environment and biogeography, for both the units, you're going to start with conceptual understanding. Conceptual understanding is going to be so what the geographers in the past have theorized about environment geography and biogeography. We're going to start off with that, right? And then once you have an understanding of what the theories have been, what the concepts are related to biogeography and environment geography, for environment geography, there are current or contemporary developments which are important. In the sense, what is covered under GS, climate change, biodiversity loss, that will have an overlap in optional as well. But how you approach your optional again will be different how you approach GS. So GS is going to be more elementary. GS is going to call for more of factual information. Like he asked me, ma'am, IUCN status. IUCN status of the species becomes irrelevant when it comes to optional subject. Yes, you need to know what climate change is. You need to know how climate change is affecting different parts of the world. Under environment geography, you need to know what are the issues related to environmental pollution. You need to know what are the conservation efforts or the environmental management efforts undertaken by UN. You need to know all that, right? But the kind of factual information which is needed in the GS paper will be completely different from the kind of information which you're supposed to be knowing for your optional subject. And the third part of the syllabus under these two units, and more so under environment geography, is I said you begin with conceptual understanding, you know the current developments. The third is interlinking the current with the theories given by the geographers in the past. And then trying to analyze if the theories given by the geographers in the past hold ground or are valid in the present times as well. And if they are valid, why do you say so? If you say that so-and-so geographer in the past provided certain principle, let's say of environmental unity, related to how the ecosystems function. Now, under GS geography or under GS environment, I'm not bothered about principles like these. I just need to know what an ecosystem is. However, under optional, I need to know the principles and the concepts of ecosystems far beyond what I'm supposed to know in GS. And then, like I said, the third part is whether the principle of environmental unity is found to be relevant even in the present times. If the principle was given back in 1880s, is it valid even today? And if we say that yes, it's valid even today, how do we substantiate that? Right? How do I say that it's valid? What are the examples? But from where do I get the examples of the current times? By looking at what's happening around. So I need to know conceptually what's happening around. Right? This is going to be the approach. And this is going to be a uniform approach across most of the units for the entire syllabus. And the approach for both these units of environment and biogeography is also the same, right?
So there are doubts related to the course. So I'll just summarize this. We'll be starting the course on 15th of June. It will be 2.5 hours lecture daily, 5 or 6 days a week, and test with sectional test as well as chapter test, chapter wise. This depends on the teacher. I'll be covering paper 1, chapter 3 chapters of physical geography, that is geomorphology, climatology, and oceanography. Madam will be covering bioenvironmental geography, which is overlapping with your GS also. Section B, all the chapters I'll cover except one, that is population and settlement geography. Madam will be covering population settlement. Remaining 4 chapters, that will be perspectives, economic geography, regional planning, and models and theories. I'll be doing that, right? So in paper 1, out of 10 chapters, 3 chapters Madam will be covering, and 7 I'll be covering 7 chapters. In paper 2, last chapter, contemporary issues, ma'am will cover 1 chapter, that is transport communication, that I'll be covering, and remaining entire 8 chapters will be covered by sir, right? So in that way, this is the division of the syllabus. So paper 1, 7 chapters plus 1 chapter in paper 2, that will be covered by me. Ma'am will cover 3 chapters of paper 1 and 1 chapter of, correct, paper 2, that is contemporary, and 8 chapters will be covered by Shivarpit sir. Okay? We will be providing you the printed material, updated printed material of the entire syllabus, plus handouts that will support the class notes. Anyway, we will be dictating the class notes also, but wherever the topic is more factual, more data is involved, in such cases it is difficult to dictate in the class. For that, we will be providing you the handouts. Okay? Apart from that, we will suggest you some standard references that you will be reading as the classes will go on. Okay? Test conducted after the chapter and as well as after the sections, depending on the teacher's availability. And a periodic assignment will be there. Yes, assignment we will evaluate and give you the feedback so that you are in the flow of writing the answers. Duration of the course will be 4.5 months. Extended, maybe 1 week it may get extended, depending again on how we approach the syllabus. And yes, this is what is the format of the classes. Okay? So finally, the outcome of this 4.5 months of classes will be like you will be capable enough of interpreting the entire syllabus of optional, and you will be also having a skill of writing the answer. See, most important in geography, unlike any other subject, दूसरे सब्जेक्ट में क्या होता है, in other humanities it is that you are thoroughly dependent only on understanding of the subject. In geography, your marks depend on 2 things. 50% depends on what is the conceptual clarity, and second is 50% depends on how you represent the information, right? Representation is equally important in the subject, and this will not come in 1 or 2 days. You should have a consistent preparation. If you are having good representation in geography, you get good marks. Okay? So as someone was asking, like, can we cross 300? This entirely depends on how you are able to represent the information, how creative you are in the topic. You cannot write like all the others are writing. You cannot write like how it is given in the books, because the questions are not directly based on the content that is there in the reference. You have to create the answers in optional. Okay? And second, some students were asking about the success rate and all. So here you should not worry about this. This thoroughly depends on, what I have discussed is compatibility. If you are having good compatibility with the subject, you can score and clear with this subject. Otherwise, if you are not compatible, this may happen with any optional. If you are not finding yourself interested in the subject, you cannot go a long run with the subject, right? So I hope the things are clear. करंट अफेयर्स एक डाउट है.
1.5 years, Muranim.
So there is a doubt online. How much overlapping is there of environment geography of optional with environment and ecology of GS3? There is little overlap. Environment and ecology of paper 3 calls for different approach and different set of knowledge. And environment geography of optional calls for different set of knowledge. So there is some overlap. Those of you who have geography optional will find understanding the concepts of GS environment very easy. You'll find it very easy. But beyond that, beyond the conceptual understanding, you're supposed to be knowing a lot more under GS environment and ecology, and different things under GS environment and ecology compared to what you're supposed to be knowing. Of course, the content under environment geography also is going to be substantial. But beyond a certain degree of overlap, which is a little overlap, I will not quantify it, which is a little overlap. Beyond that, it doesn't hold good, right? But of course, having this optional and doing environment and ecology, environment geography and biogeography will give you a very good understanding. Basics jo hote hain na under GS, they get taken care of. So let's keep it at that.
Chandan Gupta, you'll be given an online, you'll be given a printed material for the optional classes. Recorded classes, do not know for how long are they available for the students. I guess 2 days. I'm not very much sure. Nikhil, you can confirm it with the administration. So any doubts that you have? Yes. See, the syllabus is again very different. For example, there are certain topics that we are not going to do in the general studies, which we are going to take up in the optional subject. For example, topics, let's say, related to agriculture regionalization, we do not do it in GS, but we do it in optional subject. Topics related to, let's say, agriculture productivity, efficiency, that is not part of GS, we'll do that in the optional subject. Topics like, for example, dryland agriculture, we don't do it in the GS, we'll go do it in the optional subject. So there are certain topics which are there in the optional subject, which we are not going to do in the general studies. Okay, so approach will be slightly different. Plus the questions are a bit different in the geography optional compared to the general studies. Okay.
Regarding the math question,
See, one thing you need to keep in mind that you need to focus more on those entries which are there in the newspapers. You cannot say that only current affairs based entries would be there. It can be anything. You can be asked anything which is part of your syllabus. So the syllabus is resources. You can be asked about resources that are there in India. But there are greater chances of that resource being asked which are there in the newspapers. So not totally, but yes, there will be some kind of current affairs in that as well. Okay, a place that is in the news, you will have to mark it in the atlas or your map book itself. Someone who has done geography honors but doesn't enjoy physical geography portion at all. See, the question is someone who has done geography honors but doesn't enjoy physical geography portion at all. Should that person opt for geography or look for some analytical subject? See, I would suggest if you have done graduation in any subject and you are comfortable in that subject, then in that case you should go. Otherwise not. What are the challenges that students from non-geography option? No, you need to have a right kind of attitude. You won't face much of challenges, whether you have done geography in the graduation or not. That's it. Yes, sir.
after every sectional test, is there any discussion how to overcome the weakness of that portion in the writing the answer and how to write the good quality answer after every section?
See, as such, if I talk about myself, I won't give you any kind of model answer because I do not believe in something called as model answer. There can be no model answer, but yes, we will discuss once the test is done. So we will discuss what is the demand of the question. So you need to understand the question first and then you need to write the answer. So we'll discuss that in the class. And I would not give you any question verbatim. Like I would not dictate you any answer. Just that I would tell you what is the examiner asking you, what you need to write, and what are the mistakes that you have made if you have written a test. Okay?
After every test,
Yes. Okay. Chalo, then that's it for the day. Sir is going to conclude.
So one more doubt the students have raised, like about compatibility of the subject, whether engineering, some student who is maybe he or she is engineer and asking whether geography is compatible. So we cannot relate with the background. Only thing is mindset. if your mindset is of logical bent, in the sense that you are a person who thinks about cause and effect relationship, why, how, then geography is a good subject for you, right? अगर आप रट्टा मारने वाले हैं तो उनके लिए फिर ज्योग्राफी ठीक नहीं है ना? सो यू कैन नॉट रटिफाई द थिंग्स in geography. You have to relate, you have to interlink, you have to always look at cause and effect relationship. If you are such type of individual, yes, this subject is good for you, right? We will be providing you online, both the courses are available offline as well as online. ठीक है? Is it 2025?
2025.
No, if you are preparing for 24 or 25, if you complete your optional now, your later burden will be reduced. You get time to explore the subject more, right? Early you finish the optional, more it will be easy for you to comprehend the subject later on and have better connectivity with the current affairs, right? अगर जो 24 में दे रहे हैं, अगर नवंबर में स्टार्ट करते हैं, तो as sir was saying, this subject will overlap, the classes will overlap with your GS part, then you will neither be able to prepare well for optional and nor with the GS also. Even if you are preparing for 25, if you complete the subject now, you will be able, you will have enough time to practice the things and make your answers better, right? So it is always suggested that complete the optional as early as possible. Geology as an optional. See, if you are coming from geology background, you have done your graduation or post graduation masters in geology, then go with the geology. Geology is like an engineering subject. जैसे कोई अगर इंजीनियर है और वो मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग ले रहे हैं, सिविल इंजीनियरिंग ले रहे हैं, उसी तरह का जियोलॉजी है. जियोलॉजी इज अ स्पेशलाइज्ड डिसिप्लिन, ज्योग्राफी इज अ जनरल डिसिप्लिन. Any student who is coming from any other background, because geography is interdisciplinary, geography overlaps with economy, it overlaps with sociology, it overlaps with many other subjects. Anybody can study geography, but anybody will not be able to study geology. If your background is geology, then you can take it. Geological Survey of India, yeah. Then you go with it. If you have written, yes, it's good. Don't worry about what others are doing. Okay, if you are compatible with the subject, and as you are saying that you have written exam of GSI also, right, then it will be easy for you. I will not suggest geography for you. No, you just look at the syllabus once again. If you are finding that more than 70% of the syllabus of UPSC civil services geology you can easily do, then you can go with the subject. ठीक है? आप अगर जियोलॉजी के भरोसे पर ज्योग्राफी लेंगे, तो ज्योग्राफी में जियोलॉजी का जो कंटेंट है वो सिर्फ 15 से 20 मार्क का है, उससे ज्यादा नहीं है ना? तो फिर आपको दिक्कत हो जाएगी. हाँ जी. Human geography, see, we will build the human geography from perspective themes. जो chapter number 6 है, will try to have a strong hold over the themes in perspectives of geography. That will come only with the classes, right? So I'll tell you how to do that. Don't worry about human geography. We'll make you perfect in human geography. You will find human geography much more interesting than the physical geography. Fine? Okay. Thank you very much. All the best. Right, thank you.